Welcome to J Lowe Artist YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me on this artistic adventure. Today we'll be working with charcoal. So you'll need your number 2 or HB pencil, a kneaded eraser, and use your oldest, rattiest kneaded eraser. This charcoal has a tendency to mess up a kneaded eraser. And a piece of charcoal, anything you'd like. You'll need a cotton swab for blending, and let's get started.
Let's go ahead and start this child. When we're talking about facial proportions and things like that, kids are a little different than adults in that everything is kind of compressed. The head, when the child is born, their head is about 1/3 of the size of their body. And as they grow, the body kind of catches up to it. I'm just going to start with an oval and just say, okay, I want her head to go clear up towards the top. And I want the chin to come down a little bit more than halfway. That head should be about the size of your open hand. So give yourself a lot of room. Charcoal is much easier to draw large. And then I'm just going to kind of oval that out. There's the size of her head. That's kind of where I want it to be. This is the cranium. And I want to leave a little bit of room up the top for the hair, because there's hair that goes up on top. But if she had no hair, that's about where the top of her head would be. And that's going to help us to get our proportions. So I'm just going to, as soon as I get where I want my object to be, the head, then you say, okay, about right in the middle is where the eyes are. And here, her head is slightly tilted down, and so we're going to see more of the cranium than normal. But about right in the middle there, somewhere in the middle, is where the eyes go. You can use your hands like calipers, kind of figure that out. I'm just going to make a mark there, a little line to say that's about where the eyes go. And if you divide that space in half, then I'm going to make another mark, and that's right under the nose. So the nose is slightly on top. And if you wanted to, you'd do kind of a little circle there to just say this is where the button part of the nose is. The bottom is down in there. Then you divide that space in half, and about right in there is about where the mouth goes. And just leave enough space for that little chin. You may have to expand it a little bit more or less. But because her head is down just a little bit, we're going to see a little less of that chin. Then if you wanted to, you can start adding in things like, okay, where's the hair go? If I were to take between the bottom of the nose and the eye, that's about the space that we have for the hair up there, or for the forehead. So I can kind of just go up there and just say, okay, somewhere up in there, that's about where the hair goes to. And of course, the hair comes up off the head there, so you can have that come down in there. And I'm just going to get in some basic shapes. The bow, I'm not even going to worry about the bow. I'm just going to say it's up in there somewhere. So we want to concentrate on the face. The eyes are much larger in a child. Whenever you do a drawing of an adult and you make the eyes a little bit large, it gives it that kind of childlike innocence. And I think that's why people like the anime kind of stuff a little bit, because of that kind of feeling that you get, that childlike innocence, is the big eyes. So now what I'm going to do is, if you divide the head in half, and about right in half is where the pupils are going, because she's looking out at you. But it's on the inside of the pupil. So you give yourself a little bit more space. So this is the halfway mark. This is the half where the eye goes. I'm going to make some little brackets right there. And the inside of the eye is a little closer to the nose. I might even have to go just a little bit further inside. So I just want to mark that. On the other side, if I divide that space in half, the inside of the eye, right in there. And then if you think about this, there's a little triangle there of the inside of the eye where the tear duct goes, and if you drop straight down from there, that's where the outside of the nostril goes. So I can make a little curve there and say, okay, that's outside of the nostril is right there. I'm going to use my pencil to just get some of those little edges and things, like the outside of the eye. I never draw that bottom part of the, well, I shouldn't say never. I rarely draw the bottom part of my eye because there's usually a little light that hits right there. And so in order to keep that light, you could leave it out. You can just delineate the bottom of the eye by or the bottom of the nose by these little half arches there. And even the lip, as it comes down, you can find the center with this little V shape. And if you go from the inside of the eye, the iris part, you come straight down. That's about where the corner of the mouth is. So you can mark that off. It's close. It's not exact. Nothing is perfect. Now the rest of that we can do with our charcoal. So what I'm going to do now is I almost abandoned this pencil. After done with the figuring out where everything goes, you can abandon your graphite in favor of your charcoal. So what I want to do now is I want to get as much charcoal down there as I can, because I'm going to manipulate it. I'm going to smear it around and do some things. So I'm going to start with some of the darkest areas I see. Up here in the bow and the hair, nobody cares if that bow is slightly off. But if your eyes are in the wrong spot, then everybody's going to tell you. But that bow, nobody cares about the bow. So I'm going to go to the eyes first, try to get those as close as I can to being in the exact right place. So I'm going to start out with a little bracket. And the top eyelid. The pupil is right in the middle of the circle, but the top of the circle is cut off by the eyelid. And so that pupil fits just a little bit higher, or it looks like it fits a little higher. And then right above the pupil is a highlight. I'm just going to shade in any of the darkest areas. The where the eye kind of comes down to the tear duct, you might make a little triangle right there. Sometimes there's a little light in there where the tear duct is. And her eyes are very light, so I'm just going to leave them that way. I'm going to add some little zigzaggy lines around the iris. And oftentimes the eyelids shade the eye a little bit, so you may want to darken in the very top of the eye, except where the highlight is. There's a little highlight right above the pupil. You may want to get rid of that graphite, anything that's in there, because that needs to stay as white as you can get it. Here's my little zigzaggy lines on this eye. Around the iris is always a little darker. And she's got some nice, cute little eyelashes, but instead of drawing out the eyelashes, I'm just going to do these little triangular dark areas right there. Little dark area where the eyelid fits into the head right there. One on the other side. And where the eyebrow is, that eyebrow is got a little shadow underneath it, but there's hair on the top. So I'm just going to do these little zigzag lines going out away from the center of the face. So just little zigzaggy feathered lines. And then I'm going to blend those up. All the rest of that, we're going to blend it with our cotton swab. Also, the shadows that go around the bridge of the nose, we're going to blend with our cotton swab. So I'm going to get under the nose. Here's a little shadow under that nostril, and then those little half moon nostril shapes, little half circles, whatever they are. And the shadow under that lip, just do this little V shape. I'm not worried about the lips. I don't want to draw a line around things. That just complicates it, makes it cartoony. This is so much faster to draw this way. Here's her chin, and there is a little bit of a core shadow with some reflected light on her chin. So I'm going to leave just a little space right there for that reflected light. And then the hair are just streaks. You can come down and kind of, as you streak down, you get that feathered line. So it's going to be darker up here. Then as you come down, it's going to get lighter. So it's just this kind of feathered line. And if you're drawing with the side of your hand there, you'll get that entire shape. If you're drawing like this, you won't get that smooth line. So learn to draw with your elbow and your shoulder. You're going to get those smooth lines that come down like that. Just use your elbow and your shoulder to get those feathery lines where the hair is. And where it's really light, don't draw lines through there. Just do the shapes towards the highlight. Over here, and then I'm going to leave that highlight out, and then I'm going to do a few shapes from here over. Blend it, and you got it. There's the hair. So easy to do. So many people worry about the hair. Here's the bow. I'm not even drawing lines around the bow. I'm just drawing the shadows. Don't worry if it's not perfect. That bow is not important. And if you're drawing with the side of your pencil, it's going to smear easily. It stays on the surface. Once you get to that point, you're ready to do a little smearing. You start with the eye. The eye is very important. I'll start with the top of the eye. And then as I come down, I kind of blend it, and I leave that bottom just a little lighter. And if you think, oh shoot, I should have left that a little lighter right down at the bottom there, right below the pupil part, if you leave it just a little lighter, and if you don't, take your kneaded eraser, pinch it down to a little point. You just come in and just touch it. Lighten that area up just a little bit. And that'll make that eye look so alive. Look how alive that eye looks. I really didn't do much with it. And the last thing you do is you want to touch the highlights, get those to go back in. Any of those little areas. Right under the eye, and this is for kids and adults. where the eyelid kind of fits over the eye there, it's going to be a little bit of a shadow underneath. So just take your cotton swab and just go under that just a little bit like this. And there's that under eye. And then just clean it up with your kneaded eraser. A little highlight right above there. Sometimes you get little wrinkles right there, but they're soft and subtle. So you don't want to put a line in there. So use that cotton swab and just so ever so gently. There's a nice, I mean, look how lifelike that eye becomes. Then I'm just going to take that and blend it into the middle of the nose, over the bridge of the nose. Any of that, you just blend up. And you don't have to go over and really press on it. Some you can do, some you just don't need to. Some you just need a soft touch. I'm going to just pull out some of that from around the nose. Right over the tip of the nose, there's a little shine right there. I want to leave that out. So put a little bit in there and then just leave out that little shine over the tip of the nose. And if you think, oh, I wish there was more graphite or more charcoal in there, you can always add more. Remember, there's always a little shadow on the white part too. Whites of the eyes are never really white. I'm just using my cotton swab to just pull in some of those. And if you get too much, then pull it out with your kneaded eraser. It's those subtle darks and lights that make the expression really what it is. Even the little philtrum, that little divot below the nose, can be done with the cotton swab. Just look at the shapes of the shadows and put those in. Sometimes I like to get some of that hair going on, so I've got something that I can pull from. I'll take that charcoal from the hair and move it into the face. Any place that you see some gray, just pull that charcoal either from the shadow around the neck or from the hair. You can pull it from there and put it somewhere else. It's kind of like painting, except it's not wet. One of the last things you do is you take your kneaded eraser and just go into it, just pull out some of those little light areas. you got some really light, thin, soft hair, sometimes your cotton swab is enough. Other times you need some charcoal in there. Here's some more of that bow. Like I say, don't worry about it. Just put in the shadows. You got it. Don't be afraid of putting in those feathered lines where the hair is. Just where it's dark. Anything else you can get with your cotton swab. You just draw those darks. Don't draw a line around it. I think too often we draw lines around things and hope those lines are going to make a difference. And they do. Usually they're negative. So when we mess up and they look silly, we just keep drawing more line and can't figure out what's going on. Just avoid it. Get rid of them. Didn't have a lot of time today, but I think we did okay. Just a quick sketch. It's all about practice, all about learning a new technique and trying something different. So hopefully it made a little difference in your life. Hopefully you had fun and learned something. And I hope you have a lovely day and keep cool.